Gangsters rule streets until these 7 people step in and tear them down. These are the nightmare names whispered in the underworld. A forensic accountant who follows the money like blood. A cyber genius who bricks entire operations overnight. They're completely unexpected, and when they show up, entire gangs vanish. Stay to the end to find out who scares the toughest criminals. This isn't fear, this is checkmate. The prosecutor with a 100% success rate. Mob bosses fear only one thing: a prosecutor who never loses. In a world where guns and loyalty rule the streets, it wasn't a gangster who brought down the mafia's boss of bosses. It was a brilliant lawyer with a paper trail and a plan. In the 1930s, organized crime ruled New York City. The mafia's 5 families, Bonanno, Colombo, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese, each operated like criminal corporations. At the top sat men like Lucky Luciano, shielded by layers of loyal soldiers. But prosecutor Eunice Garter wasn't afraid. She studied their patterns and found the cracks. While investigating prostitution rings, she noticed the same lawyers and bail bondsmen showing up again and again. She followed the money, the names, and the habits, and it all led to Luciano. Her case exposed how the mob ran brothels across the city. With undercover interviews and wiretaps, she built a case no defense could shake. In 1936, Luciano is convicted on over 60 counts of forced prostitution and sentenced to decades in prison. Carter's strategy? Turn the mob structure against itself. And it worked, just like it later did for Italy's Giovanni Falcone and today's federal prosecutors. One piece of solid evidence can bring down an entire empire. Luciano ran the streets, but Carter ran the case. The gangster's mother. It sounds unbelievable, but even the coldest killers have a soft spot: mom. In the mob, Mother's Day was a kind of holiday. FBI agent Joe Pestone, aka Donnie Brasco, spent years undercover in a mafia family and noticed even stone-cold hitmen went misty-eyed talking about their moms. Mobster Jimmy, the Gent Burke, was known for brutal heists, made it a ritual to visit jailed gangsters' moms with flowers every Mother's Day. Henry Hill once explained it simply: it's Mother's Day, you know? No violence, just pasta and respect. Why the soft spot? Because family means everything. The bond with the mother goes deeper than the mob's code of silence, omerta. Al Capone, one of history's fiercest gangsters, famously loved his mother's spaghetti over any fancy restaurant meal. Even Vincent the Chin Gigante, boss of the powerful Genovese family, lived in Greenwich Village with his elderly mother as he ran an empire. So, as crazy as it sounds, gangsters will risk their lives for a kingpin, but not the chance to break their mother's heart. How an undercover agent survived for years in the inner circles. Undercover operatives are like ghosts among criminals, living double lives where one mistake means death. Take the ultimate example of FBI agent Joseph Donnie Brasco Pistone. For 6 years, FBI agent Joe Pistone lived as a ghost inside the mafia. He walked among killers, earned their trust, and fooled them all. In the 1970s, Pistone infiltrated the Bonanno crime family, posing as a jewel thief. He got so close, he became the right-hand man of feared mobster Lefty Ruggiero. But his secret was, he already knew their world. He literally talked the talk and blended in by studying the mafia way of life. Each day undercover, Pistone followed strict rules he learned from mob life. Never mess with the made man's family, always behave respectfully. Every handshake, joke, and secret meeting was calculated. Pistone knew that one slip of a wrong nickname, a forgotten detail, could blow his cover. In fact, when the mafia finally discovered a mole, they put a $500,000 bounty on his head. Pistone had to change identities and live in secrecy for decades after. But his years inside paid off. He helped gather evidence that landed more than 100 mobsters in prisons. The hacker. In the digital age, one hacker with Wi-Fi can shake a drug empire. No bullets, no blood, just leaked emails, exposed routes, and collapsing trust. In 2011, the hacker group Anonymous declared war on Mexico's Zetas cartel, not with guns, but with data. They threatened to expose cartel members, properties, and corrupt allies. Their message was, "We do not forget, we do not forgive." Since then, cyber attacks on cartels have become more real. Teen hackers have reportedly infiltrated cartel networks, leaking financial records and GPS routes. In one dramatic example, reported in the news, a teenage hacker infiltrated a cartel's financial records for weeks before vanishing without a trace, with law enforcement later noting how quickly that cartel collapsed afterwards. You can't shoot what you can't find. In today's war on organized crime, one silent hacker might do more damage than a dozen armed agents. The modern cartel threat? It might be sitting in a bedroom, laptop open, code loading, ready to destroy. The psychological warfare between gangsters, even among criminals, staying at the top is not guaranteed. Rival bosses stalk each other like predators, using intimidation and mind games to gain advantage. Mafia dons and cartel bosses play chess with real lives, sending signals, not just shooters. One might order a low-level hit just to rattle a rival. Another might deface a gang tag or hack a homepage. It's not about body count, it's about sending a message. Psychologists say this tension is often worse than open war. A stare, a smile, even a graffiti mark can spiral into paranoia. A boss might read disrespect in a handshake or fear betrayal from a trusted underboss who met with the wrong person. Every move matters. A thug bumping into a rival at a party, that's a warning. A friendly post online, it might be bait. In this game, mind control beats muscle, and everyone's watching for the smallest crack. Even in the digital age, whispers still matter. Rumors, leaked photos, or a single line in a rap song can shake a gang's structure. No one wants to blink first, but they all fear the moment they do. And the smartest boss always strikes before the other even knows the game has begun. The ex-gangster turned informant. Every mob boss fears one thing more than a bullet and betrayal from within. When a gangster flips, he doesn't just talk, he brings down entire empires. He knows the codes, the hideouts, the bodies, and when he starts naming names, no one sleeps easily. Take Sammy the Bull Gravano, once underboss of the Gambino family. He was trusted, lethal, untouchable. Then in 1991, he flipped by turning on his boss, John Gotti, and helping the FBI send him away for life. Gravano admitted to 19 murders, yet he only served 5 years thanks to his cooperation. The mafia was stunned, not just because he talked, but because he walked free. An informant is dangerous not just for what he's done, but for what he knows. He can flip charges, move indictments, and destroy the crew from within, all without firing a shot. He'll bury your name, your crew, and everything you built with one conversation in a federal office. In the mob, the man who talks is deadlier than the one who kills. Organized crime, how hierarchy holds power. In the underworld isn't random, it's structured. From outlaw bikers to street gangs to the mafia, organized crime depends on hierarchy. Some groups run like corporations, others like tribal networks, but all have one goal: control through structure. Hell's Angels operate through local units called charters, each with its own officers: president, vice president, sergeant-at-arms, secretary, and road captain. Each chapter has autonomy, but regional meetings help coordinate broader strategy. Beneath the official charters, smaller support clubs act as recruiting grounds and muscle. Prospects must climb through a strict process before becoming full members. The Hells Angels don't just ride, they govern like a federation. MS-13, on the other hand, runs through decentralized cliques, each controlling territory and led by a palabrero, or shot caller. While cliques act independently, they stay loyal to the larger gang through shared codes and violence. Orders are passed through secret meetings and coded messages. Despite the lack of formal structure, MS-13 maintains discipline through fear, often recruiting youth in vulnerable communities and enforcing rules with brutal force. Crips and Bloods function more like loose networks. They're not single gangs, but umbrella identities for many separate sets, each with its own local leadership. An OG, or original gangster, typically runs a set backed by lieutenants and soldiers. These groups are highly territorial, and conflicts often break out between rival sets even within the same umbrella. There's no national chain of command, but shared colors, hand signs, and rituals unite them culturally. The mafia, La Cosa Nostra, is the most structured of them all. Modeled like a military hierarchy, it starts with a boss at the top, followed by an underboss. Below them are capos, captains, each commanding a crew of soldiers. while associates who aren't fully initiated work beneath them. Mafia families enforce loyalty through omerta, the code of silence, and violations often end in blood. Their control of neighborhoods and illicit businesses is absolute, with violence used as both punishment and deterrent. The psychological analysis: why even killers are terrified. Finally, let's step back and ask why these figures, who aren't armed thugs at all, terrify criminals. The answer lies in psychology, and a surprising fact: fear itself can exist even for psychopaths and killers. They don't flinch at pain, they don't cry at death, but take away their power, their control, or their secrecy, and suddenly they're the ones looking over their shoulders. In the criminal world, violence is expected, but what truly terrifies hardened gangsters isn't a gun, it's unpredictability. Each of the 7 figures we've explored taps into a different kind of fear that goes deeper than bloodshed. A relentless prosecutor doesn't just chase convictions, they shatter the illusion of invincibility. Then there's the mother, the one person whose voice can crack the armor no enemy ever could. Even cold-blooded hitmen soften in her presence, not out of weakness, but because she represents something they can't control: guilt, memory, family. Meanwhile, the undercover agent is a living nightmare. When a criminal finds out someone in their crew was a cop all along, paranoia spreads like wildfire. Every ally becomes a suspect. Every handshake feels like a setup. The hacker represents another kind of threat: the unseen. He's faceless, quiet, and far away. And yet with a few keystrokes, he can erase money, expose hideouts, or collapse an entire operation. But nothing shakes a crew like an informant. When one of their own starts talking, the fear runs deep. Not just of what he's saying, but of who might be next. Loyalty turns into silence. Trust disappears. That's what ties all of these figures together. Not weapons, but insight. They use pressure, truth, empathy, and unpredictability to dismantle what criminals work so hard to protect: control. Because in the end, even the most ruthless criminals fear being exposed, outplayed, or emotionally undone. What do you think scares criminals more? Prison, betrayal, or their own guilt? Drop your take in the comments. Thanks for watching. Until the next chapter in the Outlaw book.